Did you wildcard in game week 6 and was disappointed by your score? Well, I didn't wildcard and I told you not to if you were watching last week. Join me now for Fantasy Premier League, the D in its journey. Well, last week, the wildcard was the popular thing that everyone seemed to be playing. I think there was a lot of content creators out there. Let's Talk FPL wildcarded. A lot of the experts on FPL Pod and all that were wildcarding as well. And it's safe to say, it was one of them weird drafts where, you know, if you did go with the wild card kind of draft, you got about the same amount of points as I got without going the wild card. And I've still got it in the bank. Shout out to FPL Raptor. I watch a lot of his content as well. And he's wild carding this week. And so is my mate Darren. And we're going to get into what his squad currently looks like. He, like FPL Raptor, still doesn't have Haaland after 6 game weeks. Look, it finally paid off not having Haaland this week. And look, we'll talk about the captaincy decision in a little bit. But, you know, I should have stuck to faith with Salah this week and just made him captain from like I did last week. I think I got burnt last week. So I was like, I've got to go back to Haaland. And, you know, he doesn't do well against Newcastle. And those stats continued. I mean, he has scored 4 times against them. But in comparison to some of the other teams, he hasn't performed that well against Newcastle, and that theme continued. So let's find out how my points broke down this week. Look, I still had a green arrow this week, considering I haven't played my wild card. I didn't take any transfer hits. I was thinking about it all last week. You know, I really wanted to bring in that Gabriel, and originally I was going to get rid of Salah for Saka, and then it was going to be, I think, Pedro Porro to Gabriel. So thank God I didn't make those trades, because my score would have been a lot worse than 60, and it would have been taking the -8 as well. So sometimes it's just better off not to do the stupid things that go through your head and just actively plan about how you're going to do your transfers and your trades throughout the week. So look, let's find out how my team went this week. So the 2 transfers I did were Henderson for Raya, which gained me a total of 0 points. They both scored 1 point this week. We'll get to the Arsenal game. They were exceptionally unlucky. Leicester scored 2 goals on like 0.2 expected goals. Like, I don't know what to say other than the fact that it was just unbelievable that Arsenal conceded twice in that game. It's just a really weird game. And like Saka he created 4 massive chances and still got 1 bonus point. I want to talk about the bonus points because they keep revising over the different days. Like Saka had 3 bonus points and then got revised down to 1, which makes sense because like he actually didn't do anything. Like he created the chances, but in terms of, you know, he didn't get an assist, he didn't get a goal. Like, I don't know how you get 3 bonus points if you're not doing that and you're not a defender. So yeah, that's just one of them things. Look, the Arsenal defense were disappointing because of that, but you know, in reality, they were exceptionally unlucky to concede twice, let alone concede at all. So I wouldn't be worrying too much about that if you did have a double up Arsenal defense. And look, Gabriel is still on my list, but now at 6.2, I think Saliba's the better option. And look, the reason why I say that is because the stats for Gabriel throughout his time at Arsenal, he scores about 5 goals a season, and he's already scored 2. So like, how many more times can you expect him to score? And that's what I'd say. Like, Saliba is still going to offer you the same amount in terms of Saliba's more likely to get the bonus points if it just comes down to a defensive game and they're both keeping clean sheets. Gabriel's the one that normally would give you if he scores, but like, he's not going to be scoring every week. He's not a forward. And I know Arsenal are fantastic on set pieces, but you've just got to take that into consideration. So look, Raya was disappointing. That trade I wasn't overly happy with. The other trade was Jota to my favourite player that I can't pronounce, Mbeumo, however you want to say his name. Look, that trade actually made me 2 points. So it didn't cost me anything in transfers. And Mbeumo, I bought him at 7.2. I was unlucky not to get him at 7.1. He's now up to 7.4. So he's already made me 0.1 mil. So look, great transfer. Jota's still going down, and like, you know, I wouldn't have been unhappy if I'd kept Jota because he was good. Sucked into all those people on wildcard bringing in Luis Diaz. I said, man, I just don't know about him. And look, I'm glad that all those people brought him in because, look, I didn't get his points. So good luck to you all out there. Let the haters hate. Let me know in the comments if you were one of those fools that brought him in. Look, this is the problem with chasing points. And we'll get to a few players that scored massive points later on, but I don't have my team and I'm considering about doing some stupid things this week, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So back on the defense, Alexander-Arnold was disappointing. Look, I don't know how you concede to that Wolves team, but they did, and he picked up a yellow card, and he got me 1 point. So, the two defenders of the 4 that I thought were going to get me points got me a combined total of 2. So it just goes to show sometimes your premium assets just do not deliver. Robinson, though, I don't know how Fulham kept the clean sheet, but I'm very happy they did. And he also got 1 bonus point, and he got me 7 points. Pedro Porro was in line to get bonus points, but then got a yellow card, but he still kept the clean sheet, so 5 points. So I got 12 points from those two, and those are the 2 defenders I actually thought weren't going to keep clean sheets. So it was one of them weird game weeks where no one kept the clean sheet except Fulham and Tottenham. I can't believe I just said that in a sentence. But those are the only 2 teams that kept a clean sheet. Absolute madness. Now, I was unfortunate here, and there's no way that I would be ever thinking about playing Harwood Bellis, but Harwood Bellis, as you can see, is the last person on my bench, and he actually scored overnight against Bournemouth, which is just hard to believe. The consolation goal for Southampton, he finally scored. I think they're now scored more goals than Man United, just an FYI, and that pains me being a Man United fan. But look, neither here nor there. Unfortunately, I was never going to get that 7 points, but it's just unfortunate, that you can't swap it for Alexander-Arnold's 1. That would have given me 66, but hey, that is what it is. Moving into the midfield, I pretty much nailed this. Ahmad, as I thought, was going to start on the bench, and he did. He came on for 5 minutes. He got 1 point, so I made the correct call there. Smith Rowe, unfortunately, couldn't get a goal or an assist, but he got the clean sheet point, so he got me 3, so that's better than nothing. And then the midfield, the other 3 midfielders all delivered goals. So Rogers scored before he went off just after 60 minutes, which unfortunately made him miss out on any bonus points, but you're still going to take 7 points from a 5.2 budget million player. Salah, I don't know if this is his last week in my team. We'll get to that in a little bit, but he delivered. He got a goal from the penalty spot, which was lucky, and obviously he got some bonus points because of that as well. He got 10. He should have been my captain. Me and Alan discussed this last week, but we went with Haaland because, we'll get to that in a little bit. But disappointing that we didn't captain him because that would have taken me up to 68. So, it is what it is. And then in Mbuemo, I think I said his name right. Oh my God, I can't believe that. He scored on his debut on the team, couple of bonus points. I mean, Brentford didn't create much in that game, and it is slightly concerning that the 2 goals he's got have been like in the opening minutes of games in the last 2 game weeks, but their run does open up, and I'm hoping that, that does continue. And then up front, look, Woody Woodpecker, I thought that this might be a week he delivers, but I can't really complain too much. He's been fantastic on the whole, and he's actually gone up an extra 0.1 mil, so he's actually made me some money now as well if I choose to move him on, which I am thinking about this game week, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Then the big disappointment, Haaland, he just wasn't very good in this game. I'm just going to pull up his stats for the game. He didn't have very many chances. In fact, his expected goals and assists were a combined 0.55. So normally he's been scoring off those kind of things, but he just didn't in this game, and he was well held by the Newcastle defence, which is surprising because they were god-awful against Fulham the week before, and I thought that was a fixture you could target. And unfortunately, I got it wrong. So I missed out on getting more points, and I did. My vice-captain, though, was bang on the money. I just wish I'd swapped him now in reflection. Ollie Watkins now has the most big chances fall to him. He's actually had more than Haaland now. So I'm very happy that I went with the Ollie Watkins trade. It's been a very fruitful trade. Since I've bought him in, which was at the end of game week 3, he's got me 13 points, 6, and then 11. So look, that was a masterful trade if ever I pulled one on, and that was when I took the -4 to bring in Rodgers and Watkins. And I tell you what, they have not let my team down at all. So that's worked out really well for me. So well done, Ollie Watkins and Villa. They just continue to turn on. Again, Turner sitting on the bench, and then we've got Ahmad Foes, obviously conceded 4 goals against Arsenal, so he was never getting any points. And Howard Bellis, as I said, scored that goal. That does take me up into the top 61,905 teams worldwide. So, for creating content, that's pretty good. I think I'm higher than all the other content creators out there at the moment. I don't know if I'm just making that up, but I'm riding it until it stops being that way. So look, I'm just going to keep floating my boat, but until it all falls off and the wheels stop turning and it all becomes shit. But look, moving on to the next thing. I'm just going to quickly cover my FPL challenge team. I almost nailed this one this week. This was one of my better weeks. The highest score for this game week was 46 points. So I wasn't far off. I was 9 points off that. Anana let me down, but everyone had Anana, so it is what it is. And then Mazarawi, he stuffed up for me, man. I did not see United conceding 3 goals, and I didn't expect them to be as shit as they were at home, but they were. But then the other 3 selections I all nailed. So Mbuemo delivered, Salah I had as my captain in this one. Wish I'd done that in the real thing. And then I had Jackson up top. So, I did pretty well. I think there must have been a defender that scored really well, which is why someone got 46 points in there. And then I just want to give a shout out to Mark Douglas. Now, Mark Douglas, as you can see here, he's the one that scored 79 points. He hasn't made a transfer all season. So this is the team he has had from the start of the season. You'll notice that he's got Ivan Toney sitting on his bench. Like, how do you top score in our league with 79 points and you haven't made a transfer all season? He actually got top 583,000 teams this week in the week. Absolutely mad. But this is what can happen. Like, sometimes you don't need to play a wild card in order to get a good score. It can be I swear, sometimes teams just fluke big results. This is one of those cases. I mean, like, just look at his team. He obviously had Watkins captain. He's had Watkins captain all season. So the first 3 game weeks, it's been no points for him. The last 3, he scored beautifully. And then he had Anthony Gordon, who obviously got that penalty against Man City. And then, he was let down by a few, but he had Anderson from Fulham, a couple of bonus points there in the defense. He had Porro as well. And then he had the big one. And let's talk about Cole Palmer. Ice cold Palmer, man. That dude is a freak. I was actually I was at a festival, and normally I watch all the games, so I actually haven't seen this game, but I was just reading about. Well, I was trying to read about it. So I was at a festival called Listen Out, and I was listening to John Summit, having a great time. He was playing there in Perth, and I was sitting there, and I just see my phone going off, going Palmer, and I was like, going, what the hell's going on, man? And then I look at the score, and he scored 3 times in like the first 30 minutes or something. And then there was a penalty. He got a 4th. I was like, are you kidding me? What is his points? And then I looked at his points. I was like, 21 points, man. If anyone's got him captain, they're just going, they've got a massive green arrow. I saw someone, I think the top score of the game week was 142, and they triple captain Palmer. Like, that is one way of sending yourself straight up the charts. 100%. That's the way to do it. Playing Cole Palmer, absolutely insane how good that man was. And he could have scored more than 4. Like that, I don't know what Brighton were doing. And this is the thing. Like, Chelsea have played a couple of teams this season in their first 6 weeks where they have just played suicidal defending, and Cole Palmer has just destroyed in those games. So Wolves away when they scored 6, and he literally set up the same assist for Madueke, or however you say his name, 3 times in a row. The same thing. Like, Out-Nori, he actually scored on the weekend for Wolves, so well done to him, but he can't defend. And then Brighton just consistently played this ridiculously high line, and Cole Palmer was like, mate, if you're going to keep doing that, I'm just going to tear you apart. Shout out to Jadon Sancho as well, 6.4 mil. He has now started... Well, he's played 3 games for Chelsea. He has got an assist in all 3 of them. He actually got 2 in this game, and he got a big 10 points. So, look, we'll get to my points and my players that I'm thinking of, who should be in the team and that looking ahead to game week 7. But look, he's definitely up there. But Cole Palmer, shout out to him, player of the week by an absolutely country mile. Most of the people in our leagues, and we'll get to the leagues in a second, and I'll give you the code there if you want to join. But anyone that had him had a big green arrow this week. And, I still had a green arrow, but he was definitely a player where I was like, oh, man, I wish I had him. And if you captained him, shout out to you guys, because that was an inspired choice, because who would have foreseen him scoring 4 goals at home to Brighton? Not many people. So very big congratulations to anyone that did captain him. Now, look, if you do happen to like this content and you are new, please make sure you subscribe, because that would definitely help me get this out to more people. And obviously, smash the like button. It's not that hard. It only takes 10 seconds. Whack it in. Let's get into that. Now, let's get into the league and what happened and what we can learn from this game week. So, look, I put on a couple of side notes there, so you should be able to see like players that caught my eye and who I would be looking at. Now, I'm basing this off the fact that I have got my best mate is actively wildcarding this week in Game Week 7, and I know FPL Raptor is as well. And I watched his content yesterday about, how to make a Game Week wildcard team that is going to look different to the wildcard template from last week due to the fact that, some players just scored massive points this week. And I just want to get into that. So if you do want to join our league, the code is LDV6FK. So that's LDV6FK. Whack that in. We're more than happy to have you come and try your luck against us all, and you will get a shout out if you top score in our league on any given game week. Now, a big shout out to Joe Zindani. I don't know if he's watching, but I'm going to send him to this because I am giving him a shout out. He has moved up into second place. He had a big score of 69, and he was, the third highest scorer of the week. Ollie played his triple captain for a big score of 75. He unfortunately played it on Mo Salah, so he only got 30 points. He did have Palmer in his team, so he missed out on really shooting up these ranks. He could have almost caught me if he'd played the Cole Palmer triple captain. So unlucky, but, he did it to beat Diesel in our head-to-head league, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But, yeah, there weren't too many movers. Alan, unfortunately, did not move at all like me, so I'm stuck in first place, and he's still stuck in 14th. And Darren, whose team we're going to be focusing on, he is in 12th. He actually had a green arrow, and he had 58 points, so, there wasn't too much in that. So let's have a look at my points and my team. So there's my team, and we're going to go quickly to FPL Challenge. So I'm just going to quickly jump over here because this is not going to take very long. As I said, I got 37 points, and that was my team, and I've already discussed. I'm just looking ahead to next week. So next week is Asia Pacific, gets double points. Now, I just want to pull up the double pointers in this for next week. There aren't many of them, and I don't think any of them are going to score. So the goalkeeper doesn't even play. You don't want to go near any of those defenders because I don't think they're playing. You look in the midfield, Son, if he's available, you might consider because he's a good chance of scoring. But at the moment, he missed the game on the weekend, and the rest I just have no faith in. I don't think Matoma's going to do very well against Tottenham. He might. I might be wrong. He-Chan against Brentford away, he could be, I don't know if he's even starting, but he's been poor this season, and he's already dropped 0.3 million in price. That's mad. And then up front, it's Chris Wood because he's from New Zealand. So, he's got Chelsea away. I wouldn't be betting on him. So this week, I actually think the best team is just to go regardless of that because there's no budget. So I've gone Raya, Alexander-Arnold, Palmer, Mo Salah, and Haaland, and I've got Haaland as captain. That's what I'm going with. I don't know whether that's going to work, but we'll see later on in the week. So, look, moving ahead to what we learnt this week, and where's my thing? Here we go. So, look, there's a few things. I'm just going to make this screen a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on a little bit more. Yep, there we go. That looks a bit better. And we'll go one more. All right, sweet. So that's my team as it stands. I've got 0.1 million in the bank. Now, I'm very tempted to take a -8 this week because in our head-to-head league, I am versing Pete. And Pete's team, for want of a better term, is shit. And I reckon I can probably take a -8 against them and win. So at the moment, and the price rises is always very critical and like your team value. So at the moment, my team value is actually really good. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to show you what my actually team value is. So if we go here to points and we go to game week history, you can look in here. And currently my team value is 101 million.8. So I'm pretty good. And when we go look at Darren's team, who's on wildcard this week, his team value is only 100.7 or 100.8. So he's like a full 1 million below what I am potentially able to do with my team. So back to the transfers. So what I'm thinking of doing this week, and I'm just going to explain why. So I said before that Chris Wood's been in the firing line for me, and I rate him. He's delivered 3 times out of 6 for me. However, there's other options I like the look of so much more. shout out to Ollie Watkins, who's now gone up to 9 million in price for me. I bought him at 8.9 and now he's gone up, and that's fantastic for me. So he's obviously gone up overnight because he was on 8.9 before I started this podcast. So thank you for that. So let's just have a quick look at what I want to do. So Chris Wood, I want to get rid of. Ahmad, I want to get rid of. And unfortunately, to make this all happen, Mo Salah has to go for me as well. So the players I want to bring in this week are Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer. Look, his price is going to go up, man, because so many people saw that 25 and 4. I've got to get on board. And I just can't see Salah delivering a 20-point score. I can see Palmer getting another 80-point score, though. The other player I then want to bring in, which facilitates this move, is McNeil. Now, McNeil scored twice on the weekend, and I drummed him up so much last week saying that McNeil and Dominic Calvert-Lewin were going to be good options. Dominic Calvert-Lewin again missed a big chance. So, he's so close to delivering what I've been saying. But McNeil now, if we have a look at his history, in the last 4 game weeks, he has, bar the first 2 where Everton were just god-awful. Bournemouth, he scored 6 points. He scored 12 against Villa. He obviously blanked against Leicester last week, but he got 15 points and 2 goals this game week. His fixtures are just too good to ignore. I think you've got to bring him in, and I really want to bring him in. And look, Ahmad, I love him. He's got 2 returns to me, but that United team just look like an absolute shambles, and I don't think anything's going to happen until they sack Erik ten Hag at this point. So for me, McNeil has to, I just want him in. He's a safer option. And then if we go up front, this is why Chris Wood goes and why I think that, so I saw Delap scored a couple of goals, and he's actually a really good option here. At 5.5, he's about to go up in price. So if you are thinking about bringing him in, it's now or never, because or else he's going to go up to 5.6. You're going to miss out on that team value increase. It's definitely someone I will be looking at, and I have considered him over Wood, because then it means I could then upgrade maybe a Smith Rowe to someone else next week. There's potential, but look, his expected goals and stuff is not setting the world on fire. And let's just look at these teams he's versus. So his next 4 games are amazing. So he's got West Ham away, who look like they're conceding goals quite regularly. Then he's got Everton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home. All games where you could considerably foresee him scoring goals. Then obviously he's got the hard one, Spurs away. But then after that, he's also got some really good fixtures. So he's got Man United at home. I reckon there are a good chance of scoring in that game, depending on, who's in charge of Man United at that point in time. Then Forest away, Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth at home. So look, he's not a player that you should not be considering. He's got a really good run, and at 5.5, he is bargain basement. However, the player that I am looking to bring in at this particular moment in time, I still have to go back a bit further. Also, another player that should be interesting is Cunha. Now, he hasn't done much. He's scored twice, I think. He scored in game week 2 and game week 5. But his fixtures after Man City next game week are fantastic, and you would expect him to start scoring goals for this Wolves team. Wolves have had the shittest start to a season ever because of their fixtures, but it really opens up from game week 9. He's someone you could definitely look at. Is someone I might even get rid of Watkins for in order to enable me to spend a bit more money on my midfield or defence, particularly around that game week. So he's someone to keep an eye on as well. Maybe not this week or next week, but he's definitely someone that you should be forward planning. Now, the person I really want to bring in is this man, Dominic Solanke. Now, I can add him, and that would mean I've got 0 million in the bank. It means I'll be taking -8 points, but I can fit it in. And I really think after watching that Spurs game against United, Dominic Solanke's getting a lot of chances created for him, and I did say I thought his level might be Bournemouth. I am revising that method now. I think the last 2 game weeks have shown that he has got goals in his locker, and he's a player that I really like the look of, and I think I might even take the -8. I just think that it could be worth it. Let me know if I'm being stupid for considering a -8 this week, or if I should just do the 2, maybe just the -4, and do Palmer and the McNeil ones this week, and then play Wood against Chelsea. Because obviously I don't want to play Smith Rowe this week because they've got City away. And I'm kind of concerned about my defence as well this week. So I'd be playing a 3-man defence. I'd be definitely playing Alexander-Arnold, Pedro Porro, and then it's a toss-up between really FaZe against Bournemouth at home or Robinson against City away. And I feel like Faze might actually get the nod this week. Only because of the fact that, Bournemouth can be a little bit wasteful. Now, shout out to Evanson as well from Bournemouth. So he actually scored on the weekend as well. And we just go back to the forwards. And he was actually not bad. Like his score was actually really promising. I'm just going to see where I can find him. Where is he? He's 5.5 or something like that. No, 5.9. So he's up to 15 points for the season. He obviously got 9 against Southampton. So let's talk about the fixtures. If a team is playing in Southampton and Arsenal are that team playing Southampton this week, you really want to target that fixture, because even Man United scored 3 goals against Southampton. So if there's a fixture to target, that is 100% the one that you want to be going for. So I would definitely be rating that. As I said, this was the first time Evanson has scored. I actually can't say some of these names. It's so bad. But they've got, obviously, Leicester away this week. But then the next 3 game weeks I don't like for Bournemouth. And that's why I said that I really want to play the wild card around game week 11, game week 12, because some of these fixture runs, as you can see there again, as I said last week, game week 11 and 12 is where you want to be playing it. And I reckon that's, considering so many people played their wild card last week and have already played it in like game week 4 or game week 6, and then there's now people playing it in game week 7, I think the longer you can leave it, the more likelihood it is you can make some mad point gains, hopefully. That's my plan anyway. It could all backfire. Like, as we've talked about before, wildcard drafts can look bad. Like, some people last week have not scored well, and you'd be disappointed with that. But it doesn't mean because you don't score well on the first week that it's a bad wildcard. It's based on what you do after that. So, look, I just want to have a look at some of the other options as well. So, I want to go back to the transfers in this week. So, transfers in and transfers out. Now, Pedro Porro, I tell you what, I considered bringing him in. I've dodged a bullet because he's almost going back to 5.5 mil, which will be brilliant for when Brighton have that fixture run in, I think it's game week 12. They start having a really good run. Yeah, game week 12. Now, at the moment, he's down at 5.6, and I would expect over the next 4 game weeks, he's going to drop to 5.5. He has an ankle injury and his return date's unknown. So his price is definitely going to drop. He might even get to 5.4. He could be an absolute steal around game week 12, provided it's not a serious long-term injury. Now, the other options that are going out this week, Isaac, obviously, big yellow there against him. He's out by 211,000 managers. Eze as well. I am not surprised that Crystal Palace assets are getting dumped by the bucket load, because they've been so poor. They've just started the season. They're about as bad as Man United. So me and Alan are just in a rough place at the moment because of the fact that, neither of our teams are scoring points and they're just shipping goals. Then, interestingly enough, Mo Salah and Saka are the next 2 biggest traded players out, number 4 and 5. Now, the reason why is because of the fact that everyone saw that Cole Palmer 25 and 4, we need him in. Now, it is a very reactionary move, and I'm not normally for reaction, and I just want to pull up Cole Palmer's... Actually, I'll wait till we get into the transfers in, but Madueke's here, so he's one that's going out the door, and that's probably because of the fact that he has done nothing since game week 2. So this is the problem with going reactionary. I'll just show that there. So game week 2, he got 20 points. And since then, he's got 2, 3, 3, and 5. Now, Darren, who has him and now no longer has him on his wild card, that this is what happens. You can't be reactionary in this game, because quite often if you chase the points have already been done. You're not getting the points that he's already scored. So I know a lot of people looking at Van de Ven, and I've even got him on my watch list here. Just because he scored the points on the weekend doesn't mean he's going to get your points next week. So you've got to keep that in your mind and analyze the full situation, the full statistics behind the player. Like, what are they actually going to be producing week in, week out? And if they're not a guaranteed week in, week out points for that, and it was just a one-off, don't chase it. The points have already been scored. You're not going to be getting them back. Now, the reason why I'm hesitant on bringing Cole Palmer in instead of Salah, they've both got interesting fixtures over the next few weeks. But if we have a look at the Chelsea fixtures now, they've got Forest at home this week, and Cole Palmer could do anything against Forest at home. But Forest defend a lot better than Brighton did. Let's be honest. But then they've got Liverpool away, again, very, very hard fixture. You would think potentially, Cole Palmer, is he fixture proof? I don't know about that. I don't think any player is really fixture proof, but he'd be close to it. Then he's got Newcastle at home and Man United away. Now, those fixtures I have no concerns about. Now, I know they're saying they're 3 on the rated FDR rank, but those teams have shown that they can see goals. So I'm not concerned about Cole Palmer against those games. But then they've got Arsenal at home. Now, again, that's a tricky game. But then from game week 12 onwards, which is when I'm looking to play the wild card, they've got a really good run. But my problem is if I don't bring him in now, he could be costing me 11 mil by the time game week 12 comes along. And that's the risk you've got to run. Whereas I think Salah, as we can see here, the trend is people are trading him out. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this game week, he's down to 12.7. So he's not going to cost me anything less. So at the moment, my selling price is 12.6. So if he drops to 12.7, it's still going to stay at 12.6. So those are things to keep him out. Bruno Fernandes, again, he got traded out as well because of the fact that, he's got a red card. He's missing the next 3 games. That makes sense. Smith Rowe's interesting, but he's also got a lot of transfers in as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with his price. And Saliba, a lot of people getting rid of Saliba. Don't know why. Gabriel, I don't know. And Luis Diaz there, lots of people bought him in last week, and he's now the 10th ranked player going out. So says it all, really. And then obviously people try to make money in their squads. Alexander-Arnold also in the firing line there as well. And Watkins, which is hard to believe after his last 3 weeks, he's also, fairly high up on this list. But again, it's probably people trying to get Cole Palmer into their teams. And unfortunately, sacrifices do have to be made if you are going to be bringing these kind of players into your team. So let's have a look at the transfers in. Now, as you can tell, these are normally all really reactionary. So Cole Palmer's sitting at the top, 493,000 transfers in. Not a surprise. He's up to 44.2% ownership. I don't really pay attention to ownership too much, but obviously a lot of people thinking, he is a must-have. And that's probably why Saka is also getting traded out, because of the value that, it's much easier to get from a Saka to a Palmer than it is from like a mid-priced midfielder. So yeah, really interesting to note, Palmer at the top. And Buemo, not a surprise, they do have that amazing run coming up now. I mean, you've just got to hop on board, really. Wolves at home this week, you'd expect him to go well again. So I think he's definitely a good buy and good hold. So yeah, not a surprise. Nicholas Jackson, I'm surprised so many people are still bringing him in. But look, he's actually got 40 points for the season now. And, he has had a couple of big hauls. And, but again, as I'd said, I'd wait for the Chelsea fixtures to turn. I just don't think Jackson's the one to be bringing in at the moment. McNeil, though, not surprised he's in at number 4. He's due to go up in price again over the next couple of days. That's why I really want to bring him in. I am very shocked that Luis Diaz is number 5 on this list. But I think the reason why he's number 5 on this list is because a lot of people are trading from Salah to Luis Diaz. And that's all I can put it down to, because they still want to get the Liverpool attack, and they still think that Luis Diaz is going to be the one that actually starts. I just don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. As I said, I'm looking to go just to one Liverpool player, and that's Trent at the back, and that's moving forward. A lot of these budget options, as you can see there, Kanate is another example of someone that scores points on the weekend, and everyone's bringing him in. Look, let's have a look at his points. He has obviously kept all those clean sheet points, and then he scored the goal this week to get 7. I just don't know, man. He's actually not a bad option. At 5.2, he's a decent price. However, he would have been nicer if he was at 5, so I'm not too sure about that. Van de Ven. This is the one I was talking about. So he has joined the list of players, I'm interested in. So Everton, he scored. Again, no, he did score against, and then he obviously got the assist against Man United and the clean sheet for 11 points on the weekend. But he has obviously missed that week against Newcastle. So, he's a good option at 4.5. Don't get me wrong. Guardiol, I think I said his name right as well for once. My God, I'm on fire today. He scored on the weekend, and Man City's next lot of fixtures, you would think they're going to keep some clean sheets in there. And the way they play on the weekend, Guardiol was back up attacking. So, he could again be a decent option, and he obviously has dropped in price. So that could be a way of enabling a better midfielder on your team by targeting him instead of maybe a Trent. Could be definitely the worth a go, because if we look at Liverpool's fixture run again, it's not the best over the next few weeks. So they've got Palace away, should be all right. Chelsea at home and then Arsenal away. So the next 3 game weeks are pretty hard. And then obviously after that, they've got Man City in game week 13. They've got some tricky fixtures to come, Liverpool. They've had a very easy start to the season, but there's a reason why people are jumping off the boil there. Now, a couple of other options I want to talk about. Jadon Sancho, as I said, his history here, he's got 3, 4, and 9 points. He only got 9 points in there, not 10. I thought he did have 10 and the bonus points got revised down. I'm not sure. But he could be a good differential. But again, I still want to see whether he's going to start week in, week out for Chelsea, because there's not a guarantee at the moment that he is going to. Like a lot of those forwards, and there's just a risk of minutes there. And that also goes true for Brennan Johnson. Now, he's been pretty good the last 2 weeks. He's got 7 and 11 points. He's pretty good for a 6.4 budget option. He's got 29 points total for the season. He is someone, again, with that fixture run for Spurs, that does look really incredible. A shout out as well to Martinelli, who got a goal and a couple of assists in this game. 6.9 mil. You couldn't go wrong with him potentially this week and maybe the next week against Bournemouth. My concern, though, is for the Arsenal attackers from game weeks 9 to 11. I'm not sure how many goals they're going to score, which is why I think I'm now going to hold with just Raya in my team until game week 12 when I do use my wild card, and then I'll look to bring in the Arsenal players. As you can see there, game week 12 onwards, the fixture run for Arsenal is just absolutely incredible. So he wouldn't be bad, though. If you're looking for a quick couple of week gameplay play, that'd be the person to go for. He's only owned by 3.2% of the competition, so he's definitely someone that you could look at moving forward. And then Delap and Raul, 5.5 options, man. Those budget options that enable the rest of your team, it's just crucial getting them right. And that's the key to doing well in fantasy, is just nailing those budget options. But yeah, look, so that's where it is. Smith Rowe, as I said, he's also in quite a few teams coming in. And Rico Lewis. Now, as I said, the Man City fixtures over the next 5 weeks look fantastic. It's just a matter of, I just don't like Pep Roulette. And that's the only reason why I've only got one City player on my team. Because at the moment, they've only got one forward. So you would think that Haaland starts every game, unless they're versing maybe Southampton, they can get away with resting him, which is a significant concern in game week 9. But I think at the moment, he's the only one you can 100% nail on is going to start every week. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that. Now, looking at my mate Darren's wildcard team. So let's just pull up Darren's team. And this is something you can't afford to do. So Darren, unfortunately, he just traded out all his players. So I was talking to him on Sunday and I was like, and he goes, yeah, I've activated the wild card. I was like, oh yeah, show me your team. He didn't want to show me his team because I don't think he wanted me pulling it apart. However, I can confirm that he has now fixed his mistake of not owning Haaland for the next run of fixtures. So he's actually got him in. I'm not sure who he's got rid of. Darren didn't realise though, and this is very important when you are playing your wild card. So he's traded out Mo Salah. All right, so Mo Salah, he's had him from the start of the season. So he bought him for 12.5 million. Now, if we have a look at his price at the moment, he's at 12.8. Now, in my team, I'm just quickly going to see if I've got my team up. Yeah, I do. So I'm just going to go to transfers. So if I go to transfer out Mo Salah, as you can see there, he's only worth 12.6 selling price. So if I accidentally sold Salah and bought in, a Luis Diaz this week, if I was on a wild card, I'd sell him for 12.6. So I'd only get 12.6 in the bank. I'd spend 8 million on Luis Diaz. If I then changed my mind later in the game week and thought, nah, I want Mo Salah back in my team, and he still cost me 12.8, I'm actually going to have to pay up 12.8, and I've actually lost 0.2 million. So if you're playing your wild card, be aware that you won't get your player back at that price. However, if you are very clever, and this was some people last week, Brian and Burmo here, who we've got next door, so I bought him in at 7.2, but some people last week on Wildcard bought him in at 7.1 and then sold him when he got to 7.3, and they actually got 7.2 for him. So they actually made 0.1 million on him. So if you're very clever and you're focusing on the players that are definitely going to go up this week, then you can potentially make money on your team and you can increase that squad value moving forward. And then you can you might not even have him. So that's why it's really important if you are playing a wild card to do it on the Saturday. As soon as that game week deadline opens, play it early. Focus on the players that look like they're going to go up in price as placeholders in your team and move out the players that aren't going to cost you anything. So, for example, Pedro Porro, at the moment, he's sitting on 5.5. I bought him for 5.5. If I wanted to get rid of a player and I knew he wasn't going to go up, he's a player I'd just go, bang, see you later. I can bring him back in at the same price later in the game week if I want to change my mind. However, if you've got someone that's made you some money, so again, Smith Rowe, he's on 5.8 and I decided to get rid. I'd have to pay 5.8 to bring him back, but I'd only get 5.6 for selling him. So it is really important that you don't stuff that up. Now, I just want to show you something really interesting if you get rid of Haaland. Now, a lot of people are bringing him in. He is up to 73.1%. Now, the top person in fantasy at the moment has only had Haaland in their team one game week, and that was when they played their free hit. Now, obviously, the person at the top's played their free hit, they played their wild card. They're going to be coming back to the pack. But if you got rid of Haaland and say you bought in I'm just going to get rid of Wood and Haaland, and let's just say I'm going to bring in Havertz this week because I really like that fixture, and I'm going to bring in Solanke as I talked about, add player. Now, I've still got 5.5 million in the bank. So you know what that means? That means that I could almost go an Ahmad out. So for this exercise, I'm going to get Ahmad out because I don't really like him. So I'm going to bring in Palmer when we get there. Hold on. Bring in Cole Palmer. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of, in this case, I've got 0.2. So I need to make 0.2 in my bank. Who am I going to get rid of? So I'm going to get rid of Robinson. I'm going to get rid of Smith Rowe. And I'm going to bring in McNeil. And I'm going to bring in a 4.5 million rated defender. Let's go here to defenders. 4.5. Who's looking good? Let's just say, let's go with Van de Ven. Only because of the fact that, he did well on the weekend and, he looks good. And that brings it up to 3 Tottenham. Look at the kind of points you can get. Like, look how much stronger your team looks without one of them big things. So, like, my midfield there looks quality. And I've still got a quality forward line. I've still got points galore there. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking, like one of these big guys, like Salah or Haaland, just has to go to like enable like the better squad balance. Let me know what you think. I've been banging on all year that you have to have Haaland, and I just think the next 5 game weeks you can't go without him. I think he's going to deliver mad points, and he is a massive captain option. Whereas then you have to really think about your captain option week to week, and then you could get it wrong. And then if people are captaining Haaland and he does big, then you're on the back foot already. So it's like sometimes it's about protecting your rank moving forward more than anything else. So, these are just options. If you're on your wild card, things to think about. You could have a team like this. It could outscore a team of Haaland in it. It doesn't mean that it's the right way or the wrong way. You've just got to have conviction in what you believe is going to get you the most amount of points. So, yeah, as I said, my 3 transfers I'm thinking of doing were the Palmer, Solanke, and McNeil in for Salah, Ahmad, and Chris Wood. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I don't know if I'll do it, but that's where I'm going. Later in the week, unfortunately, Alan is away, so we will not be doing a show with him this week. However, Darren is going to be on here live with Tom, and we're going to be discussing on Friday night Darren's wildcard team. We potentially will do this as a live stream, so make sure you log in. I'll try and provide a time in a post on my page. Again, if you have liked this and enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe for more. That's been my fantasy Game Week 6 outcome and my Game Week 7 thoughts. Let me know what you think. Till next time, it's bye from the D Unit.